So today, guys, we're going to learn some additional information about fish. So we are starting our fish unit, and we're going to start with what is a fish. So there are some things, of course, you know about fish, but we're going to learn a little bit more. Now, fish are vertebrates, which means they have bones. And if you've ever eaten fish, you know that you accidentally got one stuck in your throat or whatnot. So they do have bones. There's a couple classes of fish, as you can see. So the Agnatha is your jawless fish. Okay, I'm not even going to pretend like I know how to pronounce that one. Those are your fish with cartilage. Okay, and if you think about cartilage, you have cartilage in your knee. It's kind of that flexy type material. Sharks fit into this, and then you have your bony fish. So altogether, there's over 20,000 species of fish that fit into these three categories. So fish breathe using their gills, so that's their respiratory system there. And we've also talked about chambered hearts. Now, the bird has a two-chambered heart, the fish has a two-chambered heart. So what is a two-chambered heart, to give you a reminder? It's a simple organism, and it just pumps blood for animals with gills. Okay, that would be our fish. And it's a single circulatory system. So because blood leaves the gills and immediately circulates to the rest of the body, the heart doesn't require additional chambers beyond the first two. So they have a single circulatory system, and humans have a dual circulatory system. As far as reproduction, the majority of fish have reproduce external fertilization, okay? Which means large amounts of eggs and sperm are released at the same time, okay? For the most part. So it's like a catch me if you can situation. So the process of egg release is called spawning. And during this process, members of the species will come together to form an enormous group, and then they all release their eggs and sperm at the exact same time. This enhances the chances that an egg will be fertilized, and that ensures the survival of the species of fish. A disadvantage of spawning, so as good as it sounds that it's going to keep everything going, there is a disadvantage to it, and one of the disadvantages of spawning is nobody's taking care of the babies. Okay? So it's like, hey, we don't know whose kid it is. You know, Maury's going, yeah, you are not the father. So it's all thrown out there. Some of y'all caught that, some of y'all didn't. It's okay. There are a few species of fish that release their eggs but maintain them nearby. So there are some fish that say, hey, we are going to care for our youngs. Most fish have fins, and the primary purpose of having fins is to help them maintain their balance and move. Because think about how a fish moves. It has to maintain some kind of balance. That's one of the ways, unfortunately, you know your pet fish isn't doing too well if it starts to tilt over to the side and it's not able to swim in a straight line. Okay. So as far as their fins, they have some paired fins, and that's their pectoral and pelvic, and those are the ones that are used for movement. So if you look down here, you'll see those. Some have unpaired, okay, so they're not together. They work in a different motion. So that would be your dorsal fin, which is for staying upright. Okay, your anal fin is for, again, your balance. And then you have things like your caudal fin that keeps the forward motion going, and it's actually where it's located. It steers from the rear. So the caudal fin is actually your backseat driver. Fish also have a sensory system, like a nervous system, for example. So a lateral line system is a line of fluid-filled canals that run along the sides of fish to enable them to detect movement and vibrations of the water. So, for example, if you had a nair is the nostrils that the fish has, and that's what helps it sense smells in the water. It sense smell, predators, prey, those type of things. You have the otolith bones, and otolith bones are actually in the ear. the ear bones of the fish, and it is used to help age the fish. So how can you tell how old the fish is? It's by those otolith bones is a good indicator. Think about tree rings, okay? Tree rings, for example. Sight says eyes act independently of each other. So a fish's eyes are actually seeing two different things. And if you think about it, it is on separate sides of the head. Okay? And then barbels. So whiskers, and this is different from the fish, the bird hooks we learned about, the barbels. So these are the whiskers on the fish. And think about a catfish in North Carolina. So North Carolina's known for catfish. So these little whiskers help it to taste, okay, what's happening at the bottom of the water there. So here we see the lateral line, okay, and of the fish. So that is what we're speaking of, those canals. So we're looking at lateral lines. All right. Also see here the catfish barbels. Whoops. And we're moving on apparently to scales. So most fish have scales. Okay. And this is what is on their skin. And notice some interesting things about it. The scales can be different. So if you ever had to scale a fish before you eat it, you want to scale the fish before you eat it. If it hasn't already been done for you when you catch them. So the scales are there as a protective coating. Also helps you age the fish. We talked about thinking of it like growth rings on a tree. So however many rings the tree has is about how old it is. Now, fish are kind of slick. And they have to be kind of slick. So if you think about it, they have, think of that term water off a duck's back, for example. And if it's water off a duck's back, that means that there's oil on that duck. And so the water's just going to bead right off. So this coating is kind of like a coating that helps them move through the water easily, the scales move through the water easily, and also protects them from parasites, external, as much as possible. So I want you to think of birds, excuse me, I want you to think of birds again and how the birds we talked about had different beaks. Well, now your fish have different jaws, okay, that enable them to eat whatever they need to. Most of them are carnivores in the first place, and the video talks a little bit about that you're going to be watching other than this one. Most fish have bony type skeletons because you want to be a little lightweight when you're going through the water. You don't want to be too heavy in some cases. Think about why birds have hollow bones. And that is all we have for today for this. So please make sure that you answer the questions on Google Classroom.